Anyways, hi everybody. We are now hi everybody. We are now live at office hours, where today we're talking about press releases. What are they? What differentiates between a good and a bad one? When should you use them? When should you not use them? I'm Nora. This is Sto. And we're here to answer all your questions today, to offer practical advice to independent musicians so that we can make the music industry a better place.
Absolutely, absolutely. But first, Nora, I'm looking to listen to some live music here in November. Is there anything I can possibly do to make sure that that is something that is available to me here in the upcoming month?
So interesting that you should ask. Yes, Den Music Fest is happening on November 2nd. We're going to be in Atlanta. On November 9th, we're going to be in Los Angeles. So we've got 2 stages of incredible artists. I promise you will discover your next new favorite artist at Den Music Fest. Those shows will also be live streamed. So if you're not in Atlanta or not in LA, you can tap in virtually. And then we'll have a whole week of workshops and events so that you can, and anyone from anywhere can access those because they're virtual. So we'll be talking about how to put on your own show or your own tour. We'll be talking about what makes a good performance. We've got a mixer for producers and rappers, so y'all can find each other and go make beautiful music. What else? We've got a whole bunch of stuff. Tickets are at denmusicfest.com, denmusicfest.com.
Sure it's .com.
Yeah. Early bird tickets are available. If nothing else, check out the artists that will be on the show because they're amazing and there's so much good music out there other than what's happening on the mainstream. And so we try to amplify that. Thanks for asking, Sto. That was a good little idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely support them. Even if, you're not necessarily performing or whatever, take time to share the event. I actually think I'm just going to start leaving a link in the description to make sure that you're able to participate and whatnot. And so, yeah, big opportunity to actually network and link up with like-minded individuals, get some good music knowledge, all types of stuff. And again, it's that raw, independent, from the ground up stuff. So I'd love to see it. And all right, here we go. Episode 84, press releases. What a time to be alive. Press releases, I feel like are extremely important. I feel like they're extremely underrated in this day and age. And that's what we're going to discuss today.
Let's start with the basics of what is a press release, because I think it's one of those things that the word gets thrown so much and people aren't always clear. So how would you what is a press release though, and what is it used for?
Yeah, I always love to pull up the official definition just to make sure I'm on point. But according to the dictionary, it says it's an official statement issued to newspapers giving information on a particular matter. Now, obviously, in 2024, you can extend that to blogs, publications, still newspapers, actually. I mean, believe it or not. Heck, even your local, site and stuff like that. So, a press release is literally just an official statement about whatever it is that you're working on. And it's not even, again, it's not just for artists. That authors use them. I've seen graphic designers use them. Any type of creative. I've seen a press release is a good way to inform publications and again, press. It's literally called a press release for a reason. So yeah.
Well, and what they're used for, so historically, right? A press release is sent to a journalist, and then the journalist uses that information to write something about it or to build the foundation of the interview that they're going to do. So right. I think sometimes people write a press release and they're not sure why they're doing it, but they do it because, that's just the thing you do. But it serves a very specific purpose in having all the information in one place and telling the story or framing it the way that you want to frame it so that people are informed about whatever the project or the festival that we're producing or the book you just wrote or whatever it might be. And then it's the starting point for then press or whoever else to do what they are able to do with that press release. Invite you to come invite you for an interview or write an article or send it to someone to make a connection or whatever it is that your call to action is. So they're like a very useful tool, but they also have a very like specific purpose that they can play for you.
Absolutely. And, it's not just for interviews and stuff like that. Like that press that you're putting together, it allows you to inform everybody as a whole. Like I tell every client that I write a press release for, like, you can use that for your audience, your supporters as well. And make sure that they understand what's going on. And that's what I was going to do. I was literally babbling there until I could recollect my thoughts there for a second. But like, if I paint this picture of you have an album that you've worked super hard on and you want it to get out there, which makes sense. There's literally nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand, especially in this day and age, I see too many artists who just fire off a link with no context, not to mention an introduction, but that's not what this is about, but no context or background to what they're even listening to. And sometimes you all are doing that and expecting that person to write a full-fledged article feature on you, or to just immediately want to interview you. And in a lot of cases, I hate to say this, like, artists don't like it when I talk like this, but it's like, in some cases, the people you're sending the music to, you don't know them either. Like, you're expecting them to just drop everything they're doing and write up a piece about you when they know nothing about you. You don't know anything about them. And not even just an article, but some of y'all be expecting interviews off rip and just like all this different. And when it's like, you, as a journalist, which I am, I've been a journalist for 18 years now, I can't write anything about you if all you've sent me is a link. Like, I can do the whole, hey, this sounds dope, great, but that's not going to do anything for you. And so if you're wanting a journalist to take time to actually write a detailed piece where you are involved in that writing and stuff like that, especially from an interview standpoint, but also from an album background standpoint, historical standpoint, what else have you dropped? Like, again, they don't know you either. And so if you don't have that context there, it's extremely difficult to write a piece.
I'm curious though, because, we talk a lot about this when we talk about spam and like networking, relationship building. We talk a lot about you want to pitch thoughtfully. So if you're going to like send something to someone, send it to someone where it makes sense for them to write about you, right? You don't want to ask the classical music writer to write about your hip hop album. You want that connection to make sense. Does the same apply to press releases? Should you send your press release to everyone, or should you be intentional, or does it matter? Who should receive a press release?
Right. And again, you do have to do your research. We talk about this all the time, right? Like, when you're pitching yourself, like, you can't just, oh, this person has 20,000 followers, so let me just send the link. Oh, they didn't respond, now I'm mad. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so part of this is about doing your research beforehand and seeing, okay, this person covers the type of music I make, so there's probably a good chance that they would want to cover music like this. Like, it's what I talk about, talk to my clients about that all the time. It's like, you don't have to wait for them to find you in a lot of cases, because they're already getting bombarded. If you give them a chance and actually approach correctly and stuff, like, especially professionally, and again, you have a press release that in a lot of cases separates you from like 85% of the people who are just spamming and are just like, oh yeah, bro, you write for Pitchfork, write about this. And it's just most most of the time when you pitch like that, they're just going to ignore you. And so you immediately give yourself such a fantastic head start if you just come correct. And again, the press release doesn't have to be anything wild. It really doesn't. But it gives the writer, the supporter, whoever, the context they need to even approach writing about you in the correct way.
Okay, so you said it doesn't have to be anything wild. What should go into a press release?
So you can go the extra mile if you really want to and write like literally, because I get press releases almost every day, sometimes that are 5-6 paragraphs long, like, and I love it. I love reading that. And usually other journalists and writers, usually they like it too. But if you really do want to keep it simple, I personally believe, now again, there's a million ways to skin a cat. Like you don't have to you don't have to have the same format if you feel like it doesn't work for you. But the way I write mine personally are, the first paragraph is a proper introduction to who you are, and kind of like a little teaser intro about what the project's about, maybe some background. Because here's the thing, if it's the first time that this person is hearing of you, they do not know your history. They don't know if you've performed or opened for XYZ. They don't know that you've already put out 5, 6, 7 albums already. They don't know that. So that intro brings everybody up to speed. And then yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. And I just want to say the reason that's important is because what you're establishing is a bit of like social proof that if they write about me, look at these other people who have cared about me. So if you write about me, or if you interview me, or you whatever, then other people are likely to care about me also. So it's not so much about you like bragging or naming your, like, right? It's not about ego. What you're doing there is you're showing, like Sto said, you're introducing yourself to show who you are that's different from everybody else. People don't want to write the same story over and over again. So you're introducing yourself from your unique like value statements or value position. And then you're sharing all those things to say, look, I'm somebody worthy, interesting enough to be written about because this is how I'm serious and I'm professional in X, Y, and Z. So that's why you list those things out in a press release, is because there's a bit of like, they don't know, like Sto said, they don't know you from anywhere. They're not going to go Google you. Everything stays in that first paragraph. And so that's your chance to be like, hey, I'm interesting, I'm different, and I've done this before. So I'm going to help set you up for success if you do this with me. That's the relationship that you're building with whoever you're sending this press release to.
Right. And hold up now. Give this journalist a little bit more credit. Hold on. You one of us. Hold up. You don't do your Googles? Like if I'm actually reading a press, like I do end up doing my Googles and stuff.
If the press release is interesting, two ways. Like this isn't a press release, but someone BCC'd me on an email asking me and probably like 45 other people to be their manager. There was nothing. There was nothing like personal in this email, and it was so bad that I went and I Googled this person. So that happens. Or if it's so good that I'm going to be like, okay, yes, I'm going to go look up this person. But if the press release in the beginning is like, it's the hottest new artist and they're dope, that doesn't tell me anything. And so I might be like, I'll save it as unread and come back to it later. But that's also the thing, is like, you want to be really mindful of the language that you use and use language that actually says something. Up and coming doesn't mean anything. Hot doesn't mean anything. Like, show me, you want to use language that has some like backing behind it, or that's showing, not telling, because then that gives the journalist something to grasp onto, or right, like then you're painting a bigger picture, because what it comes back to is you want to give people enough context to understand you. So yeah, I'm not going to Google if it's not a good first paragraph.
Right. All I'll say is that damn, I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh my god. Damn. Okay, whatever. The point is that the social proof is important, and like having the intro paragraph that brings them up to speed is important, because again, it just, if they don't know you beforehand, now they have all your background as they're heading into what you're wanting them to listen to and stuff like that. And so from there, again, if you want to keep it simple, that second paragraph should just be about the album and describe the album. And I just got it back. The hot and upcoming thing, like you want to paint and show that picture so that the journalist is the one that puts that title or whatever. And so that then, not that you're attributing it to yourself, it hits a lot different when it says insert writer from insert publication here just said that I am the hottest artist that's out right now or something like that. Let them do that. Using that like hyperbolic stuff, like it doesn't move the needle at all. And oh man, I almost said something really mean, but I'm not gonna. And so as you head into the second paragraph, that's where, again, it's just about the album. And so I get it. Like I talk to artists every time who are like, well, what's the point of the press release? Like if they just listen to the album, they'll get it. And we all, like, first off, we all know that that's not the case. Like sometimes I think artists give a bit too much credit to whether it's casual listeners or people who are just listening for the first time. And not even just that, you created an entire body of work of art from your mind piece. Someone else is not going to be able to perfectly translate that off of listening to you one time when they don't know who you are and they have no context or background. Like we're talking about psychic work here. And like, listen, I'm very into Pokemon and stuff like that, but I don't have those powers just yet. And so if you set the table in the background and stuff like that and give them, okay, hey, here was my hit single or whatever. Here was the single that hit X amount of plays or whatever. This song's about this. This is how these two songs fit into here's what the theme of the album is. And I get it. I hear artists all the time. I don't want to have to hold their hand to listen to my music. But it's just like, we're all human beings. It's not, if you're expecting a journalist who has just met you for the first time to completely understand, break down every single word and sound that you're saying perfectly off one listen and no background, that's wild thinking. Go ahead.
It's also like you want to make it easy for people to help you. So like
exactly.
You realize that it's like what you're asking for someone to sit through a whole album. That's a huge time commitment, and then process it and then try to understand it the way that you intended it. You and this person, you're trying to be a teammate, an ally, like a support person. And so you want to make it as easy as possible. It's like this. You ever been to the museum and you look at a painting and you're like, nah, I don't get it. And then you read the little blurb and you're like, oh shit. Oh, okay. I guess I see it. And that's what you as an artist need to do. People are going to look at your shit or hear it and be like, meh, nah, eh. And then it's your job to make all that invisible stuff, what the metaphors mean, what the meaning is to you, the context that came out of your political idea, whatever that stuff is, it's your job as the artist to make that visible. And so in your press release, you get to tell that story. And then someone else is going to write about it and help spread the word for you. So if you're expecting someone to like read your mind or know what you mean, it's not because they don't care. It's not because they're not good at their job. It's because that's just not how it works. And in the same way, when we talk about this with artists, like with your fans, you don't want to just say, run it up. You want to tell them what they can experience because you're asking for them to do an action on your behalf. It's the same thing with the press release. Don't tell me that the album is fire. Tell me that like the deep bass percussion evokes sounds of gritty, blah, 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 blah. Right? Give me the narrative description. And if you can't write it, then that's why you can hire someone like Sto or a publicist or you can bring in people to do it, because I think sometimes artists, because they're not good at something or they're not comfortable with doing it, they're like, oh, it doesn't need to be done. Versus like this one, and this is a throw alley-oop to our previous episode about things that you should pay for. This is one of those good things that you should pay for, is a well thought out press release that evokes because music is emotional. So you want to evoke some kind of feeling just by reading that press release that makes me say, oh, I got to press play on this album. I got to talk to this person. The world needs this. So you want to think about how, again, like you want to make it as easy as possible for the people that you're reaching out to, because a press release is really an ask. You're communicating something and making an ask. So make it easy for people to help you.
Yeah, it's just like Nora nailed it. Like you have to make it easy for the people that you're expecting to cover your stuff. Because again, I think some of you believe that like it takes 30 minutes to cover an artist or write an article or whatever. And it's just like, if you're doing your real work, like it takes longer than that. And it's like, again, if you make it this long, like you have to do all this mystery work just to figure out what you're trying to say and how, and because here's the thing, that coverage that you're expecting is going out to 9 times out of 10 more casual listeners who don't always understand what's going on. And so you want to make it as easy for them to understand. Therefore, you have to make it easy for the journalists to understand so that they can convey that message to them. And again, even with necessarily like everyone, a lot of people think that press releases are only for blogs. Like, oh, I only should use it to get onto Complex and Fader and Pitchfork and all these places. And it's just like, no, like that is a resource you can use for the rest of your career, because unless you're giving up on the album off rip, that press release can also be sent to your fans. We've talked about newsletters all the time. There's one right there. And then you screenshot the press release and put it on social media and stuff like that. Like, blast it everywhere. It doesn't have to just go to blogs. It should not just be used to land on a blog. I've had clients land festival placements off press releases. I've had clients land on TV off press releases, land on playlists, all types of stuff. And again, it's one of those things that's worth it, because if if that actually gets your music out there on an exponential level, it's done its job. And as long as it's getting in front of the not even just the quote right people, but your fans, again, I'm gonna say that again, your fans, your press releases can be used to get in front of to educate your fans. Now they actually understand what's going on. It's not just this one paragraph. Hey, I released a new album today. I worked real hard on it. Hope you like it. Send. Like, so many people, like, and again, it separates you from everyone else who's doing just that.
You said something and now I lost it, Sto.
Whoops.
Oh, this is what it was. Is you want to think about like bloggers, journalists, podcast hosts, whatever it might be, as interpreters for your music. They're going to take it, right? They're that first level of consumption. And then they're going to tell other people how to think about it, feel about it, what to do with it. And so tell them how you want them to interpret your art. The other thing is, I think a lot of artists sometimes forget that like you might have a ton of resources in your fans. Like, I've worked with artists who have found their lawyers via super fans, their graphic designers, their video editors, their volunteers at the show. And so there's so much value in sharing all that business stuff that you're doing and sharing it with that, like with your fans, and then asking them, hey, where else should I send this?
Exactly.
Like, let them be part of your team, part of your journey, part of your success, because then when they see it happen, right, then you can be like, oh, Sto told me to send this press release to da-da-da-da, and here's the article. Shout out to my fans, because I wouldn't be anywhere without y'all. So that's really important. As we're coming up on, dang, this episode went by fast. Shout out to everyone who's here at Office Hours. I'm Nora, this is Sto, and we do this every 2 weeks to provide practical advice for independent artists, because there's so much good music in the world, and we want y'all to let it get heard. If you're rocking with us, if this is interesting for you, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share an episode. If not this one, we've got like 80 something other ones. But the more you share it, the more people hear this stuff, and the more we create like a new way of being in the industry that's like helpful and productive for everybody. And also, like, let us know your press release experiences. If you have any questions, we're always here to answer them. It's kind of the whole idea behind Office Hours, is like, you go ask your professor questions, because Sto and I are both nerds. The other thing I wanted to say before I forget is sending the press release is only the first part of it. So you send the press release, make sure you follow up. Make sure you say thank you. Make sure if about you share and tag, and like, like, again, this is all, I get so many of these like mass emails that someone probably found my name on a list somewhere and just send it to me. And fine, But that's not the same thing as building those relationships within the industry, reaching out to artists. You should personalize, if you can, personalize every single press release that you send out to like those kinds of people, because you can build the relationship. And if they say, well, this isn't the right press release or the right project, but now we have a relationship, so I can keep you in mind if I have another story, or you reach out to me if something changes. So please don't forget that you're dealing with people.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I actually want to make sure I toss in here is like, you have to understand that paying someone to write a press release does not mean that they are necessarily the ones who are sending it out. There are some people who do that for sure. But I set this up for every artist I talk to with this, because paying somebody to be that third party link to your press release, when again, they don't always know you, doesn't always hit as well as if you personalize and build that relationship on your own. I watch too many artists who either get mad that I don't send them out anymore, or who will say, oh, I paid so-and-so to send it out and nothing happened. And it's just like, if the person they're sending the press release out to doesn't know who you are, they're not just going to cover you because their peer sent them a press release. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but expecting guaranteed coverage off of someone else's relationship doesn't always go like that. And so if you're going to invest money into that, you have to understand that paying someone does not guarantee coverage ever.
Well, and that's a good reminder that when you are hiring someone for something, talk about your expectations.
Right.
Does your contract say that they're going to write the press release and send it out? Or does it just say that they're going to write the press release? And that's why we have contracts. These are all the things you should be talking about. The other thing, Sto, that you brought up is like, I think a lot of artists, and I'm dealing with this a lot at the festival, a lot of artists think that they need like a third party to represent them. And somehow make them more like legitimate or valid or whatever, but that third party doesn't understand the context or doesn't understand what they're into.
They're just doing their job.
And then it just ends up creating more of a distance between you, right? Like you have a direct link to someone, and then you're like, well, I'm going to send this to this third party. And so now you've separated yourself from this thing that actually you want to have a direct link to. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have like your manager in the conversation or your publicist or whatever, but that's not automatically the best thing. And so thinking about who's strategically best positioned to cultivate this relationship, and making sure that as an artist, like, it's okay for you to be representing yourself. It's okay for you to be reaching out. It's like, that's honest and it's authentic. And so I think sometimes artists think like they have to perform some of the acts of like being an artist rather than just being. And so I think press releases is a good place for that, where it's okay for you to send out your own press release. It's okay for you to do your own follow-ups. It's build and cultivate those relationships and make sure that, again, you're helping people help you in the best way that you can.
Absolutely. All right. We knocked this out of the park. That was super fast. Episode 84, writing press releases. We appreciate you for coming through. I'm not going to make this too long, but Dead Music Fest, it's right around the corner. Make sure you hit the website. Make sure you grab your tickets. It's right around the corner. If you need any written assets, whether it's a bio, whether it's a press release, I'm always available for that. Both me and Nora do consultation work and whatnot with artists and honestly creatives of all kinds. So if you need that hands-on help, we're here to serve. And damn, I should have wrote down what the next episode is. I have no idea. It was the one that, because we flipped it. What did we originally say we were going to do?
Right now, I think it's so many. This is why I have so many tabs open, and it doesn't help me when you need me to do things.
You watch Miss Figures out live on air.
I know, right?
Oh, wait a minute.
It's
Leveraging live performances. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a great one.
Okay, you've performed. Now what? How do you get people to follow you? How do you leverage that into opportunities, more things, money, merch, whatever it is that you want? So if you have questions about that, drop it in the comments.
Leave them below. Yeah.
If you have episodes you want us to see, if you have episodes you want us to do that you want to see from us, it's been a long day.
There you go.
Drop them in the comments. Thank you for liking and subscribing and hanging out with us. Drink some water. Do some good in the world, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Peace. Hell yeah.